All right, tastes like chicken. So when I told people the title of this sermon series, it was one of those things that the leadership team sat down and we said, okay, what kind of sermon topics can we come up that have to do with chicken, but still have some theological truth in them? Because while Emma's idea was great, one thing we were really sure about is that we were not going to come into a sermon series and have you not get something out of it when you leave here. So we are going to talk about today things that taste like chicken. And the fact that, truthfully, some of the things that we think taste like chicken don't taste like chicken at all. And why do we think that everything tastes like chicken anyway? I have a couple theories on this. So I went to my trusted source for information, Wiki Answers. You use Wiki Answers, right? And typed in this question: why do we think everything tastes like chicken? And there's about 4 questions there, and most of them are unanswered as to why we say things taste like chicken. And so I have a theory for you. I think this is one of those kind of things in life that happen because somewhere along the line our parents wanted us to eat something that wasn't chicken. And so what they did was say, come on, you can try this. It tastes just like chicken. And over the course of years, we have developed that phrase among ourselves, that everything tastes like chicken. But really, snake, not chicken. Alligator, not chicken. I'm not going to claim to have eaten those things, but they did. And surely those things are not chicken, right? Right. The same thing works in our faith life. All right, so there are times when you are looking for God and searching for God. There are things in the world we label as God, just like we would label other meats as chicken. And yet those things in the world are really not God. So your answers today are going to help us offer a few examples of that. For instance, if you're a person whose number one priority in life is wrestling, and you go to your mother and your older sister for the answers you're looking for, and you find that they're very thorough, while you really might be looking for God's guidance in how to get better at a skill in your life, have you truly found that thoroughness of God? Or, let's pick another one. Let's pick this one. Let's say your priority in life is finding yourself again. And before I go farther on these posters, I don't want to make light of that, because there are times in all of our lives when we need to spend a few moments, or sometimes months, or sometimes years, to find ourselves again. And we know that God can help us with that. And yet, if we constantly go to our fiance and our parents for help in that, I've done enough marriage counseling to know that spouses, while they may know us better than anybody else in the world, are sometimes not always the only help we need in finding ourselves, right? Sometimes they're too close to the problem to be able to help us see that clearly. And so if what we're really looking for is God's unfailing love to find ourselves again, and we constantly go to our fiance and to our parents or to our friends or mentors for that unfailing love we're looking for in God, it just doesn't work out so well. It's something that we make a God, that advice of those around us who love us, and yet it isn't always God. Let's try another one. Let's try this one, that you want to be a good role model for God. Who doesn't want to be a good role model, right? We all want to do that. We want God to shine through our lives. And so if we're constantly looking towards our family and friends for that, or my elevator friend, who has an elevator friend? I'm not going to ask you to really raise your hand. This says my elevator friends. Never mind. I won't touch that. There's too many TV shows on right now with elevator friends, right? And they don't talk in elevators. Did you not get that? Do you not watch those shows? You do, right? Nod your heads at least a little bit. It's dark, but I can see you. Be a good role model through God. You're looking to your family and friends for help. You're looking to your elevator friend because God is awesome and God can offer you hope. And sometimes those people you meet in elevators offer you something other than hope, don't they? If you're looking to be a good role model and you want that friend to pick out for you the things that you're doing really well, and you're standing in the elevator one day, and those things keep falling, don't they? You're standing in the elevator one day, and all your friend can say is things that you need to work on and things you don't do well and things that are concerning to them. Have you really found that hope you're looking for in God? You see, you could take these 3 questions, and if you weren't in church and you were out in your job and you asked those questions, or somebody came up and asked you those things, if you were in your office tomorrow and I came up and said, what is your top priority? Your top priority might be success, or it might be to have your finances ironed out, or your top priority might be to do well at your job. And you might look to some mentors in your life. You might look to a curriculum or a self-help book. You might look to the Bible and God, but you might pick out only the pieces you want so that you can feel those things that you understand God to be. You see how this works? We take things in life that we're struggling with, things that are a priority for us. We look at the places where we're most comfortable looking for help. And sometimes we look to those places looking for God attributes. Now, don't get me wrong. You can find God in your family and your friends. You can find God, I'll even say, in a self-help book. You can find God in just about any avenue where you look for God to be, because God is everywhere. That's up there somewhere. God is omnipresent. God is omniscient. God is all-knowing of where you are and of where you're going to be in life. And yet, if you go looking for those specific answers that you know you want, the fact of the matter is sometimes you come out tricking yourself into thinking something's God that's not God, just like you might trick yourself into thinking something's chicken that's really not chicken. So I want you to go back with me for a moment to Exodus 32. If you have your Bible, you can open along. I'm going to read the first part of this chapter, and then I'm going to read the last part of the chapter. This is a time in biblical history when people are looking for God, and in the absence of what they think is God not being present to them, they make their own God instead. The people saw that Moses was taking a long time to come down from the mountain. So Moses has led the Israelites out of Egypt. He's up on the mountain having a little, coffee time with God or whatever, and he's about to come down, but they're having to wait a really long time. They gathered around Aaron, Moses' brother and also a leader, and said to him, "Come on, make us gods who can lead us. As for this man Moses, who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we don't have a clue what's happened to him." Aaron said to them, "All right, take out the gold rings from your ears of your wives and your sons and your daughters and bring them to me." So all the people took out their gold rings from their ears, and they brought them to Aaron, and he collected them and tied them up in a cloth. Then he made a metal image of a bull calf, and the people declared, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." When Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of the calf. Then Aaron announced, "Tomorrow will be a festival to the Lord." So they got up early the next day, offered up entirely burnt offerings, and brought well-being sacrifices. The people sat down to eat and to drink, and then they got up to celebrate. In the meantime, in the middle of this chapter, what happens is God is talking with Moses and basically says, "You better get back down there," because they're in a heap of a mess. They think that you've abandoned them. They think that you've left. They think I, God, am not existent, and they are at a heap of a mess. They've created a God for themselves, this golden calf. And so Moses goes back down the mountain, and he says to Aaron, and I love what this translation does with this because it's just fun. Moses says to Aaron, "What did these people do to you that you led them to commit such a terrible sin?" And Aaron replies, "Don't get angry with me, sir, for you know yourself that these people are out of control. They said to me, 'Make us gods who can lead us.' And as for this man Moses, who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we don't have a clue what's happened to him. So I said, 'Whoever has gold, take it off.' They gave it to me. I threw it in the fire, and out came this bull calf." Moses saw that the people were out of control because Aaron had let them get out of control. Listen to that part again. Moses saw that the people were out of control because Aaron had let them get out of control, making them an easy target for their enemies. Moses saw that they were out of control because Aaron had let them get that way. We have times when life around us feels out of control, and the first thing we want to say is, we're out of control because these people right here, the elevator friends and the other people, they led us the wrong way. They let us be out of control. Our friends and our family, our parents and our teachers, our counselors, the world has let us be out of control. It's not our fault. Moses saw the people were out of control and that Aaron had let them get out of control. The only person that controls where we search for our help and guidance is ourselves. So if we're searching to be a good role model in the world, if we're searching to be a good faith friend, if we're searching to be someone who makes a difference, who makes an impact, the only person that controls where we look for help and guidance in that situation is ourselves. So I almost want to say to Aaron, do you not see what you did? Do you not understand that they came looking to you with a problem because they wanted out of this situation? They were in a heap of a mess and they had one priority: get the heck out of the wilderness. And they came to you for help and for guidance, and you thought you could do it. And you let them out on your own, and things are out of control. When we think things in the world are God that are not God, our lives do get out of control. When your finances, which are your top priority sometimes, become the guiding principle that rules your life, life will get out of control. When your desire for success becomes your God in this world, and that's the only thing you are focused on, your life will get out of control. When your desire to perform well, when your hope that things will work out the way you want to, when you're clinging to that dream so hardly that you think that the only way you can get there is on your own, life will spin out of control. And someday you're going to wake up and you're going to hear that message from God that says, you are out of control, and because of that, you've made yourself an easy target. That's the other thing Moses says, right? Moses says to Aaron that the people are out of control and you let them be that way, and now we're an easy target. Because we're left spinning around watching for any whim that they think is going to get us out of this situation, and they're ready to cling to anything as that guiding principle in their life, as the thing that will help them out, and they're missing God in the middle of it. Not everything that tastes like chicken, my friends, is chicken. Not everything in this world that will tell you has a godly influence is God. Sometimes God's voice is that still small voice in the midst of a bunch of noise that won't reach out and grab you, but will be ready for you to wait, that will be ready for you to be quiet, that will be ready for you to stop looking everywhere else for help and guidance, and will be ready for you to sit and to look for God in prayer and in searching the Scripture. And in so doing, you're going to find those attributes of God that you put up on this board. I was reading a devotional this week by Sarah Young. She wrote a book called Jesus is Calling that's popular. You might have this devotional book at home, particularly with women. This book is popular. And I pulled up my app on my phone because a friend of mine this week sent me something. And I read it, and it said this. This is Sarah speaking from God's voice. When I give you no special guidance, stay where you are. Concentrate on doing your everyday tasks in awareness of my presence with you. Listen to that one more time. When I give you no special guidance, stay where you are. Concentrate on increasing your awareness of where God already is. Wonder how that story would have been different for Aaron and for the Israelites, for Moses for that matter. If when they felt like God's voice fell silent, they decided to stay where they are in that uncomfortable place in the wilderness and wait for God to speak to them. I wonder what would happen with you and I If we got in those uncomfortable places in life, and instead of looking to sources other than God for guidance and for help, when we felt like God's voice was silent, if we would just stay where we are and wait. Because surely God will speak to us. Surely God will guide us through whatever that is. Those answers don't always come in the timeline we're looking for. They don't always come in the way we're looking for. Sometimes God's answers don't even look like answers at all. But when we can move forward with faith, trusting that God is there, even when we can't see it, even when we don't understand, even when we feel like we're lost in the middle of the wilderness, if we can sit in that uncomfortable place, instead of trusting a lot of other voices and influences to be God for us, then I will say, and I don't think I am exaggerating, that it can change the course of our histories. For those times when we look to other things, God is in that. So let me say that. In those examples I did a few minutes ago, for those times when your elevator friend gives you advice, for those times when you look to other people in the world to be God's love and God's unfailing, unconditional grace for you, God is in that. The problem doesn't come when you look to those things, right? The problem didn't come when they looked to the golden calf as something that they admired, like, ooh, that's a pretty statue. The problem came when they decided that thing was the God and that thing could save them in a way that only God can. For not everything in life that is chicken tastes like chicken. Not everything in life that would say to us is a God in the culture around us, in the world that we live in. Not all of those things are God. So I'd ask you this morning what your scorecard is. If we'll use the Mythbusters analogy, what is your scorecard? If you had to make a list of the times when you waited on God's presence versus the times when you looked to something else to be God for you, what is your scorecard? It's a hard question. I've struggled with it this week too. I'm not sure what I would answer in that, other than to say, at the end of my life, I hope I know what my scorecard says. I hope that my scorecard says that I was ready to wait on God rather than let other things be God's. I hope that scorecard says that when I looked other places for help and guidance and advice, I was looking for God in those places instead of making those places a God for me. I hope our scorecard says that we know how to recognize God in the world around us just as well as we know how to recognize chicken. God, we thank you for the gift of the influences in our life that truly do provide us with your influence so many times. God, we thank you for the times and ways you appear to us in ways that are crystal clear and that help us to know exactly where you are and exactly where you want us to be. But God, for those times when we're lost in the wilderness and we're struggling, we ask that you would help us to wait on you. God, for those times when we're struggling and we're tempted to make our own golden calf in the world, we ask that you might help us to keep our eyes focused on you. For God, you will do everything for us. On those list of attributes, there were things like unconditional and love and grace and unfailing and always. And God, truly, you are all of those things to us. Thank you for the places in the world where we see those things, but thank you more so when your face shines clearly and we know exactly where you are. Amen.